Sid, you mentioned the 4 players that Ronald Koeman apparently phoned to say you're not needed anymore. Before we get into the details of that, why on earth is it public?
Well, exactly. And I think what that tells you is that this is, I was going to use the word game. I don't think game is quite the right word, but this is a process, rather. Sorry, there's a fly going around. This is a process that is being played out in public. And what this tells you is it's very, very important how the fans respond to it. And I think this brings us back to Messi. Although you've asked a question about those 4 players, it brings us back to Messi. And what this tells you is that no matter what happens with Messi, Barcelona's board of directors will be very, very keen to try and ensure as best as they possibly can, and to be honest, I don't think they can, but to try and ensure as best as they possibly can that when this happens, if it happens, when Messi leaves, if he leaves, that the blame is firmly placed at Leo Messi, not at them. Now, I think it's impossible for them to succeed in that, but that, of course, is a very key element of what they would like to achieve if and when this happens.
Let's talk about then Luis Suárez. A lot of headlines about where he might go, Sid.
Yeah, well, in a way, the headlines about where he might go are kind of in, if you like, the second step. The first step is how do you agree a deal with Barcelona to leave? Do Barcelona pay him up the final year of his contract? Do they basically give over 10 million euros, which they can't afford to do? Do they try and get a transfer fee from someone, in which case you're back into all of those questions that we just had about Messi, which is who can pay for him, who can pay his salary, who can pay the transfer fee? How does this get handled now? There's absolutely no doubt that Luis is not particularly happy about the way that Barcelona have dealt with this, about the fact that they didn't go to him, and this is now in the hands of the lawyers, and it'll be a question about finding a deal to rescind his contract. Now, no contract gets rescinded simply by someone getting a pen out and drawing an X on it. It doesn't work like that. So there is some significant negotiation to be done, and then we can ask questions about where he goes next.
Ali, where's a good fit for Luis Suárez?
Well, I would have said Major League Soccer had his exit had been, I would say, friendly and amicable at Barcelona. But that hasn't been the case. And so therefore, there's no doubt in my mind that the player's pride, in this case, Luis Suárez's pride, is hurt. Because after so much success at Barcelona, you're sort of ushered out the back door. And because of that, I think there's still a point to prove from Luis Suárez in saying, I can still score goals at a high level. I can still do this at a high level. The problem is, and I think it's common to everybody involved in this process, is the fact that there's a reality of a pandemic, of COVID-19, of the financial situation and responsibility of teams around the world, and how much they can afford and how much they can pay for a player like Luis Suárez. So if he wants a transition before going to a league like Major League Soccer, where he's going to be welcomed with open arms and through the front door, there's going to be probably a transition club somewhere in which he's going to stop, play maybe a year or two, and then perhaps take the step to MLS. I would suggest to Luis Suárez, Luis, just leave pride to the side. You had a great run at Barcelona. It's been great. And MLS will welcome you and say, come on now, resonate with us. Create your own story here. Do the things that you were doing at Barcelona here in MLS, and we'll take care of you. I don't think that that's a decision he will make, because I really think that he wants to prove he still got it.
Sid, you literally wrote the book on Suárez. Where do you think he sees his next step?
Well, look, I think there's a slight difference between what he thinks and what he's able to do. I think the question mark will be the condition of his knee. The question mark will be his fitness. I think there's no doubt that Ali's absolutely right, that Luis, under different circumstances, with an agreed departure from Barcelona, I think would happily move away elsewhere. I think Luis is driven to some extent by if you like, the sense of a belonging. So I think Ajax is an option that he would be interested in. I mean, he's the kind of player that I could even see going back and playing in Uruguay. I think there's no doubt that MLS is an option for him in the long term, and Miami have been interested in him for a very, very long time. But I think Ali's right that Luis will want to prove something, and even if it's just for 1 year. Now, I feel like this boat has sailed, but 2 or 3 years ago, I would have said the perfect combination is Luis Suárez playing in a Diego Simeone team. And I tell you what, the attraction of going to Atletico Madrid, and who knows, maybe even winning the league, maybe even finishing above Barcelona, must be really strong. But I just wonder if Luis, because of the knee problems, because of his age, because of fitness, those kind of doubts, has the mobility that Simeone would need right now. That said, Simeone definitely needs the goals.
Sid, before I let you go, Coutinho, of course, winning the Champions League at the weekend. Back, though, as a Barcelona player, as you say, for the start of the new season.
Yeah, look, I mean, everything we say about Barcelona has to have like a little asterisk by it, and that asterisk says what's possible. Everything has to happen within the context of the possible. So, for example, even the 4 players that Barcelona have said, right, you should leave. What if those players don't want to? What if Barcelona can't resolve it? What if they can't find an exit strategy? What about the players who want to bring in? Well, they can't bring them in. They can't bring in Lautaro Martinez. They can't bring in Neymar, as they've discovered before. And this brings us to Coutinho. What are they going to do with Coutinho? Well, last time they tried to sell him and weren't able to, so they put him away on loan to Bayern Munich with the hope that Bayern would be impressed enough to buy him a year later. They weren't. They believe, or they like to believe, that there's a place for Coutinho in the Premier League. But I think they're discovering that, particularly with the financial situation at the moment, there isn't. And so Coutinho might well be forced to stay. That's not necessarily to say that suddenly Barca have gone, oh, this Felipe Coutinho guy is really, really good. But it's about dealing within the possibilities, dealing within what is really there. And as we understand it, he's been told by Koeman that he can be part of the team. In part, that's because there isn't an exit strategy, but it's also because we shouldn't forget, while Coutinho may not be worth the 160 million euros that Barcelona paid for him, while he may not have played brilliantly for them, we're still talking about a very, very good footballer.
Boys, thank you very much. Sid, your internet is bonkers. It's like watching a cartoon and fast forward. Thank you very much, guys. ESPN FC back on your screens tomorrow. Be sure to join us.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.